Hey guys, Peter here from All Jiu-Jitsu with another topic that came from your questions. And the topic for today is Facebook ads work, and here's why I don't use them anymore for my own gym. So this is a two-part statement, so let's start with the first one. Facebook ads work. When it comes to bringing people through the door of your academy, Facebook ads work magic. Of course, if you set them up properly. There are a couple of basic components that go into setting up a Facebook ad. Number one, you need to understand what your budget is. Usually it's set up as a daily budget, so a certain amount that you are willing to spend per day. And you need to understand what your audience is and obviously craft your message and your delivery according to that understanding. There are a few parameters that you need to set up to determine your audience. Number one is location. And to set that up properly, you need to understand the circumstances in your specific town or city. If we take Dublin as an example, where I'm based, it's not a huge city, but it's not small either. And the most important factor in determining the reach in terms of distance for me is the state of public transportation. So frankly, public transport is not the best here, and you can't always guarantee that you'll be somewhere on time, especially after work hours. So we're talking about 5 to 7 p.m. There are massive traffic congestions in the city. So as I said, you can't always know exactly when you're going to end up at a particular point. So with this understanding, setting up an ad for, let's say, evening classes at 6 p.m. or 6:30 p.m. for people who don't live or work within 3 to 4 kilometers, it's probably a waste of money because they simply won't be able to make your classes on time. Then we could compare this with a place like London and Moscow, which have very developed subway systems where people can travel from one corner of the city to another corner of the city relatively fast. You could definitely look at expanding the reach way beyond 3 to 4 kilometers. The next parameter for your audience is their interests. Many times I've seen people putting interest in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as a determining factor for their target audience. In my opinion, it's a little bit of a waste. If people already have a strong interest in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the chances are that they have already established a base, whether it's your own gym or some other gym, and they're not looking to switch. A more productive approach in this case would be to indicate an interest that is historically associated with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The easiest one in the books is Joe Rogan Experience podcast, because people listening to that podcast are not a cold audience. They're already aware of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because Joe is always on about the benefits and the impact that it can have on people's lives. So they're more likely to be receptive to it, but not necessarily likely to train already. Other interests could include yoga, movement, UFC, and so on. Aside from including various interests, it is also important to exclude certain interests. For example, people who follow and like your page already are probably not the best audience to target with your ads. If you have a message that you want to convey to those people, you can just simply post on your Facebook page and not spend your limited budget that could be spent on people who are not yet aware of your gym. And finally, you need to look at the age and gender profiles and who your services are most suitable to. Yes, I know BJJ is for everyone, but when it comes to advertising, you'll need to be a little bit more specific. So if you want to target multiple age and gender groups, you may want to create individual ad versions for those groups, because then your messaging and your media will have to change in accordance with that. And if you want to hire somebody else to do the job for you, you don't want to do it yourself, I would recommend looking within BJJ community. There are many groups that you can reach out to people to get the specialized service. One of our future podcast episodes will feature a professional from the digital marketing space who will tell us more about the wide spectrum of digital marketing and the strategies and methods that could be used for various social media and search engines and so on. Now let's move on to the second part of the title, why I personally don't use the Facebook ads anymore. It all stems from my original intentions and goals for the academy. As I mentioned in the beginning, Facebook ads are extremely good at getting people through the doors. They will come in, they'll do a trial class or even pay a month or two. However, based on my experience, the retention rate of people that come in as a result of seeing a Facebook ad is a lot lower when compared with somebody who came in as a result of a friend's referral or of extensive research of BJJ as a discipline. For the latter category, Google ads are a lot more effective, but again, we'll touch on those in the future when we invite a specialist digital marketer on our podcast. The decision to take up an offer from a Facebook ad is generally not associated with significant risk or investment, whether it's monetary or emotional. It's a pretty easy step and it tends to be quite impulsive. So over the last 4 years, I could clearly see that the long-term retention rate of people that come in as a result of seeing a Facebook ad is a lot lower. And every person that walks through the doors and doesn't become a regular long-term student and does not eventually contribute to the building of the team ends up taking away a proportion of your time and resources that you could alternatively invest into your core team, into the people that you have a long-term relationship with. I'm personally also a proponent of mixed classes where white to black belts all train together on the same mat. So with this setting, if I inject too many new people, brand new people into this environment, it will inevitably dilute the overall level and the quality of training. And even though this will bring me extra cash, again, it doesn't agree with my initial goals and the intentions for the academy. So my personal preference is a slower growth with more time invested into my existing team, into my core team, the people that I have been training with for years, and providing quality service. Yes, this means less cash, but a healthy training environment, a tight environment, a family-like environment where people know each other and socialize with each other is more important to us than any short-term gains, because this is the idea that we started out with, and this is the idea that we need to filter every major decision through. As always, this is just my take on this, so let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. I would love to hear more opinions. And as always, if you have any more questions, again, shoot them down below.